definitely say our group is the hardest one. My next goal is to win the spring split, and I really will give it my all to achieve that goal.
It's definitely going to be harder this year, but I still think we can manage to be the top contender in EU.
Last season we went to the final, and I think that we can do that again for sure.
I took a break, and now it is really good to be back in LCS, and I'm gonna give it all, that's for sure.
I think that we just kind of screwed up our roles, and I think we can do a lot better than that.
With this team, we can go to playoffs and even more.
I know if we fix our problems and we will try our best, I think we can be the best team because we have the skill to do so.
Guten Abend, Berlin, and welcome to the party, everyone. It's day 3 of the 2017 EU LCS Spring Split, and we are coming in with a bang, looking at a new look ROC as they take on last split's champions G2, and a determined Splice as they take on the European heroes of world H2K. Hello everyone, I'm EpicSkillshot, joined here at the analyst desk by Mitch Kreppel-Voorspoels and Daniel Tsifa. No, I did it! Daniel Dracos. We're never going to say it again.
Daniel Dracos.
Daniel Dracos.
Fine, just do whatever's easiest for you, you know? I don't want to make this too difficult.
No, this isn't difficult at all. I don't know why we're making it difficult. Well, let's take a look at the games. After 2 days of competition, here is how the teams stand, and they are ranked by their series wins. G2 has one of those, as well as H2K, the Unicorns of Love, Misfits, and Fnatic, Origin, Vitality, and Giants have already played and lost their series, but today we're going to see ROC and Splice take to the stage.
Yeah, we'll finally see ROC and Splice take to the stage. Interesting for ROC, they're in a rebuilding phase right now, as opposed to Splice. They've kind of gone through that entire process last year, so they're looking to refine, optimize, and they should be looking strong.
Yep, and for the rest of the standings, they look kind of the way we expected, at least for a week 1. But I do want to dial in on something next to the results, which is the Unicorns of Love's draft style yesterday in the new 10-ban system, because they broke the mold.
I'll be honest, me and Official were really nervous for the Unicorns when we saw Malzahar and Rengar go through on the side of Vitality. But, I mean, it worked out for them. They had a perfect comp built around it. They played to their win conditions incredibly well, and they proved that there is things you can do against these very powerful picks in the current meta.
Still risky, but they pulled it off.
Yeah, and I do think it highlights that we're only just scratching the surface of this pick and ban meta game, especially with the 10 bans. There is this preconceived notion that all the OPs should be banned, and if one is left open, it means a guaranteed loss. Obviously, Vitality should have done more with this Rengar pick in the early game, but I think it actually bodes well for a team like Unicorns that in the past has always kind of leaned on their star players to play the champions that they want. Unicorns haven't become kind of what they call in Europe meta slaves. Like, they've always had one of their own identity, and I think they can do that more in the upcoming weeks, especially when they start leaving open very obvious, like, broken champions, and the other team is forced to pick them, only to find out what the Unicorns have in store.
And because of the mind games then, or their strategy, they got their hands on Camille the next game as well, so they had a pretty good win condition straight off the bat.
Camille mostly proving that you can't let all OP champions go through that. There aren't always going to be viable counter picks, although
Disagree?
It wasn't quite that cut and dry.
I think you can, in certain matchups, you can leave Camille open if you have like a pushing bot lane that can take care of itself. You have a jungler pathing top lane. Like, there's a reason this champion does lose games. She is pretty strong, but I think if you get squeezed in pick and bans where you have to leave it open, it is still possible. I don't like the notion of just ruling it out, because if you have like a good Darius in that lane and that gets camped, like, what is Camille gonna do? Every time she walks up, she gets clapped. So we'll need to see a few more weeks.
So, real quick, Vitality, did they lose mostly because of draft mistakes, and is that easily manageable, or did you see different things that weren't that good?
Oh, they definitely need to refine the teamwork still.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we saw the roams that we wanted from Nuke Duck, and additionally, Joko wasn't able to have the impact on Rengar that you expect when you pick something that's this strong and this high priority. You really need to see results, and we really didn't see those.
Okay, we'll see how that evolves for those two squads, and we'll see if we get any more crazy compositions in our 2 series today. We're going to kick everything off with G2 Esports taking on ROC ROC. And furthermore, we have Splyce versus H2K. And I do want to look forward a bit more to that Splyce H2K matchup. Splyce, the last team we haven't seen, and we've heard through the grapevine that they are feeling really confident, really strong going into this split.
Yeah, definitely could be.
I'm really excited to see this one as well. We saw H2K not quite as strong as we maybe expected them to be, but this series is still very important as we expect these teams to be at the top of their group. So very important for one of them to pull out here.
And super exciting matchup. But for now, we're going to get straight into it and have a look at the first two teams rolling onto the Rift today. On the blue side, it is ROC within the top lane, Faxi, Maxlor in the jungle, Betsy on mid, Yarnin at AD carry, Vadid on support, and their coach Grabs. Maxlor is coming in there. Betsy is also still there. And I think that Maxlor, he is going to have to be the cornerstone of this matchup, of this team, rather.
Yeah, I think he's just a solid jungler on the Rift, but he's also a good team player kind of off the Rift. And it's highlighted a little bit in the video that ROC had put out today as well, where he's talking about just wanting to really have a good team environment. He finds it very important. He thinks it's important that everybody gets along. And he seems to really want cohesion in that lineup because they will be going through growing pains. This is going to be a rough start for some matches, at least for ROC. They won't come out of the gates doing everything right immediately. But a lot of these players have experienced that in the past. Hopefully they can use that experience for the better and not let it kind of make them annoyed that they're set back once more.
And there's a lot of players on this team that we don't know a ton about, a lot of younger players, but I kind of want to focus in on the known quantity, and that's Betsy. He was super inconsistent last season, and I'm really hoping that having Maxlor, having more leadership on this team can help him focus on playing mid lane, maybe getting support from the jungle as well, but either way, kind of improving that consistency because he had some great performances, but he also had a lot of performances where he really did not show through.
Yeah, in terms of guidance, they have Grabs again as their coach. They also added Freddy122, who used to be a player and has a lot of experience to help out in the assistant coach role. So we'll see what happens there. And they will be facing the European champions, the defending European champions, G2 Esports within the top lane. Expect in the jungle Trick at mid Perks, at AD carry Sven on support Mithy, and their coach Youngbuck. Of course, we remember that fantastic match on day one when they played Fnatic. 2-1, things to be improved on, but overall, it was just a great one to start off the split with.
Honestly, a really exciting matchup. I was surprised to see Fnatic do so well with such a young lineup to take a game off. Weaknesses showing through on both sides, but overall, very exciting.
It was. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though, for G2, and here's what mid laner Perks had to say after that match.
I think it's going to take me a couple of more weeks to become really good again, because I've been working on myself, like, as to control myself more, to play smarter. I was just really using my brain in the off-season and thinking about the game and now I played the first series of the season, and I think I played really horrible, like mechanically wise or like laning or something, but I think my map movement was good and I would only die in team fights when I would misplay or something. So I think I'm a lot better on the macro department right now and being a better team player rather than being a better individual player. But I think like I kind of let the individual a bit too down, so I have to like get really good mechanically again.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely the right approach for Perks to take, even if it hits him a little bit in the short term, where he obviously is not focusing super much about mechanics and matchups, but he is focusing kind of on the mental aspect. I spoke to him just now, actually, earlier in the makeup room, and he was there, definitely very cognizant of having to avoid tilt in the future, you know, not wanting to let it affect his gameplay, because there's going to be moments where you mess up or you get outplayed. That play from Caps was a 1%er. That doesn't happen very often. And despite going down in lane, and yes, the second death was a mistake from him, his map movements actually afterwards were very impressive, and he really helped G2 play solidly from behind. Maybe G2 could have lost that series if Fnatic was a little bit better, but you could definitely see a different Perks. Perks last season would have repetitively gotten caught on the side lanes, trying to overpush, trying to like make up for what he'd lost. But this was a slower approach from G2 Esports, and I think it's due to the improved infrastructure that they brought on board.
Yeah, bringing Weldon on board, of course, has to help with the improvement in mental game, and I think at the end of the day, this is something that we wanted to see from G2. They're not just setting their sights on immediate, like, instant gratification by winning games in Europe. They're looking long-term, they're looking internationally, and they say, we'll suffer a little bit mechanically in the meantime, but as long as our players are confident in winning and can be consistent on stage, that is what matters most.
It sounds amazing. Now let's see if they can translate it to the Rift. The players are ready to get into picks and bans, so let's send it over to the caster desk.